Okay, I can't be the only one who sees pure vanilla and shadow milk cookie, right?
The sheets underneath me felt unfamiliar, strangely soft and fluffy for some reason. That couldn't be the case. My sheets were way too scratchy to feel this comfortable, even when I was just waking up. Where was I? Oh! I slowly sat up in Orion's bed and looked around his room. The small candle flickered as it illuminated the room as best as it could. I had almost forgotten I was here, in Orion's cave. Everything that happened yesterday came flooding back. The mountain climb, the deer, the fall, the weird dream, all of it happened, and here I was, still in one piece, all thanks to Orion. I couldn't believe my townsfolk called him a bloodthirsty demon when he was so nice to me. What bloodthirsty demon goes to the length that he did? I mean, sure, I was still really weirded out by the whole being put into an alternate dream dimension that could have killed me thing, but from the way Orion put it, he didn't really have a choice. I shouldn't be mad at him if he had no other options. I appreciate the fact he bothered to help me at all. Besides, the new day gave me opportunities to show my gratitude. I still wanted to try and become his friend, if he would let me. Weirdly, my dreams were also uneventful. There was no weird purple soup or no massive stars. Nothing. I wonder if Orion had anything to do with that. Speaking of Orion, I wondered when he would help me get home. He didn't mention that last night. But honestly, I was even more curious about how he could get ready for his day in such a dark room. The candle barely did anything to illuminate anything past the bookshelf. He could seriously use some light in here. Almost instantly, the candle went out, and a glowing orb of blue light appeared in the air. I only blinked in shock and just watched as the orb hovered a few feet above me. What in the... Oh, hey, Lion. The sound of Orion's voice made me jump a little. I remember him saying about helping me get through the tunnels. Orion, you're actually here. Yeah, I still gotta get that magic out of you before I help you get home. And if I come in? Sure you can. It's your room. And oh my god, you don't look okay! As Orion entered the room, I could see why he asked. He was in new clothes that looked pretty disheveled, and despite just waking up, he seemed really tired. I was no stranger to not liking the mornings on occasion, but he seemed a little annoyed. A beaded necklace hung from his neck, with a bright blue pendant covered in little moons in the various phases. How did I not notice that yesterday? Maybe he kept it hidden underneath his clothes. Are you doing okay, Orion? Yeah, don't worry about it. Can you give me a second to get dressed? Of course I can. I got up from the bed and headed out of the room, watching as he rummaged around in his dressers and pulled out some clothing. Standing in the hallway waiting for him was a tad bit awkward, as I had nothing to do with myself, but with how tired he was, I didn't want to bother him, so I just played with the hem of my coat as I waited for him to finish up in his room. Thankfully, I didn't have to wait long, as he shortly came out in new clothes and a happy smile on his face. Hey, Lion. Sorry about that. I'm ready now. His hair was in 2 short braids, framing his now smiling face. I don't know what it was, but he seemed a lot more chipper than before. Maybe doing his hair was therapeutic. Your braids look nice. Oh, you really think so? Yeah, you look nice. Yeah, thanks, Lion. His cheeks heated up as he looked away from me. Crap, did I say something wrong? I didn't mean to be such an idiot, damn it! I need to pivot! Let's get out of these tunnels. I gotta get home after all. Oh, right, of course. Follow me. I stuck close to Orion as we walked through the tunnels. Even though they were relatively short, the darkness of my surroundings made me feel a little bit creeped out. Eventually, we made our way back to the living room, and I was in shock by what I saw, another floating orb giving off a similar blue light to the one in Orion's room. What are those floating balls? Oh, those things? They act as my main light source in the daytime. I don't like using fire unless I know it's nighttime. Why is that exactly? That's a question that will be answered as soon as I'm finished cleansing you. I don't mind answering anything. I just want to make sure you're safe. Oh, and well fed. I should make breakfast. Crud. What should I make? I need to cleanse you, but it'd be better if you weren't on an empty stomach. Wait, you still probably have a ton of questions about last night. He continued to mutter about what to do under his breath, seeming to forget that I was there. I noticed his tail swing from side to side while his foot tapped on the ground. Gods, I didn't realize he would be so anxious about something as small as the order of events we do things in the morning. But despite that, it was rather endearing, watching him flitter about. I felt like I was seeing who he really was and not the masked guy I met last night, which is exactly what I wanted. Although I should probably say something before his brain melts out of his ears. Hey, Orion. Huh? How about this? We have breakfast, you answer my questions there, and then you can cleanse me of the magic and send me home. I'd have a full stomach, I know more about you, and we can get started on the cleansing right after so we don't waste any time. Whatever the cleansing meant, I should probably ask what that would entail since I've never been infected with moon magic before. Oh, that's a great idea. Great idea, actually. Yeah, thanks, Lion. Let's do that. It'll be much faster to get you home that way. I couldn't help but snicker at that. He's mentioned getting me home so much, I'm starting to think he cares more about it than I do. That eager to get rid of me, huh? I spoke lightheartedly, expecting him to laugh back, but his face fell so quickly that it made my own smile disappear. Wait, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. I just want to make sure you're home safely. So many people go missing in the mountains, and I want to make sure you're not one of them. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to get rid of you, or that your presence here is unwelcome, or that you're being a nuisance. Crud, I look like such an idiot right now. Orion started to grip onto his tail so tightly, I thought he was going to rip it off. I just wanted to make a little joke, but I didn't realize how nervous he was about bringing me back. Was he really more worried about it than me? He was starting to scratch at the tip of his tail. My heart sank. I didn't mean to make him so nervous. Hey, Orion. I tried to reach out for him, but he flinched away from me. So he really doesn't like me! Why? Why did he look so scared? It wasn't the right time to wonder about that, though. Orion was looking more worried by the second. Yeah? I'm not offended or anything. I was just trying to make a joke. Really? Yeah. Don't worry about it. Besides, I'm not leaving before I get my questions answered. I have to find out how you made such delicious food somehow, don't I? Oh, if you can get it out of me, that is. Orion's anxious face melted away as he burst out into laughter. His giggling was infectious as I start laughing alongside him. I'll get that pie recipe out of you if it's the last thing I do! You're gonna have to try really hard to do that, Lion. As the laughter dies down, Orion looked back at me with a grateful look in his eyes, as if he hadn't laughed like that in a while. Thanks, Lion. Thanks a lot. Don't mention it. No, really, thank you. It means a lot. You're welcome? I didn't exactly know what he was thanking me for, but I was always down for putting a smile on people's faces. It felt like he needed it. Alright, I was planning on making bacon and eggs for breakfast. Are you okay with that? Ooh, that sounds delicious. Great. I'll have breakfast done in a jiffy. Follow me. With a nod, I followed him through the tunnels once again to get to the kitchen. I tried to keep track of each corridor so I can have a vague idea of what leads where, but it all went over my head. Thank the gods that Orion knew where he was going, or I would have gotten supremely lost. And we're back. As we stepped into the kitchen, I noticed that the food from yesterday was gone, most likely put away. Just like the living room and Orion's bedroom, the lanterns were now emitting a blue light throughout the kitchen, instead of an orange one. Orion seemed really happy about the blue lights, and I still couldn't pinpoint why. Feel free to have a seat while I get started on the cooking. I nodded and was about to sit down, but I stopped in my tracks when I saw utensils, food, and pans start floating around. Whoa. They were surrounded in a strange blue glow with a gentle humming emitting from it, and inside, I could see tiny eyes darting around and picking up more utensils as they saw them. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hurt you or anything? I just wanted to make my job a little easier. No, it's just... I looked back up at the swirling utensils in the air with a sense of wonder. Some of the eyes glanced at me with an endearing squint. Your magic looks really cool. Wow, you really think so? Yeah, it looks super pretty. Thank you, Lion. I'll get back to the, cooking. I watched as the items flew around the kitchen for a few more moments in amazement before sitting down at the table. The clink and clatter of the kitchen was a good white noise to listen to as I waited for Orion to finish making food. Surprisingly, I didn't have to wait that long. Here we go. Breakfast time. The meal looked even more delicious than the one we had last night. Thick slices of bacon with more meat than fat and 3 big fried eggs that were covered in seasoning. The smell of the seasonings mixed with the eggs made my mouth water, and my growling stomach was in agreement that I needed to have it now. A glass of orange juice floated towards the table and landed beside me, while Orion took his own seat. I could see bits of pulp inside the drink while the ice cubes clinked around in the glass. Did you squeeze the juice yourself? I usually never see the pulp in the juice I drink at home. Yep, I think it might give the juice a nice texture. You should try it. It tastes really good. Well, unless you want something else. Yeah, I'm sure I'll like it, Orion. Orion's anxious face shifted into a wide smile again. When he wasn't being really anxious about my reaction to his words, he was incredibly sweet. I never have the patience to juice enough oranges to make a full glass of the stuff. It was a nice gesture. I hope he realized that he didn't need to be so worried about me. Orion sunk his teeth into his bacon and I followed suit. The combination of eggs and bacon was amazing. The bacon had just enough meat to contrast well with the egg whites. And the yolk, which had extra seasoning, was just so tasty. I continued to dig into the food with him. I noticed Orion's bottom eyes occasionally looking up at me, while his main pair was glued to his plate. Maybe he was checking to see if I was enjoying the food. We ate together in silence for a few minutes before I remembered my initial goals. Hey, Orion. Yeah? I was wondering if I could finally ask. What is the biz? What did you do to me last night? What's Moondrop's job? How long have you been up here? Are there more of you? What'd you do to me last night? The weird blue dots, the weird static I kept hearing. I want an explanation for all of it. And how did you heal my broken bones? What magic did you use for that? Oh, right, that. So I did a couple of things. The first thing I did was putting your... Wait a second, you put my body and literal soul into a weird dimension full of who knows what just because I was too heavy for you. Ain't no way! No! Well, yes, but it wasn't mainly because of that. You were bleeding out. I needed to give you medical attention as soon as possible. If I dragged you up the mountain with or without magic, I don't think I would have been able to help you. Anything in the abyss is weightless as long as your soul is in there. I thought it would be the best option at the time, given the circumstances. I'm sorry for putting your soul at risk. I really didn't mean for anything to happen to you. I hope you can forgive me. Yeah, don't worry, Orion. I already have. Orion's tail thumped against the floor in shock. You do? Of course I do. I really did. I was perturbed upon hearing my soul was inside of a giant goop of unknown darkness, but I couldn't ignore the position I was in at the time. I was bleeding out. I could have actually died, and I did ask him for help before I passed out. If his help meant that I had to be in a nightmare pit for a few minutes, then so be it. I mean, come on, Orion. I can't exactly ignore the fact that I would have been wolf chow if it wasn't for you. But that doesn't explain why my brain wouldn't let me ask what I wanted. There's an easy answer to that. I just put a spell on you that would make you avoid asking about me directly, and if you try it, the spell would tell your mind to stop asking about that. As for your bones, I just took your broken shadow, straightened out your legs, and applied some healing balm and gave you tea that would relieve any aches. My shadow weaving is a little rusty, but I was able to fix you up well enough, and thank the moon for that. I sat in my chair in astonishment as Orion ate more of his food. Shadow weaving was nothing new to me. I knew about the people who could do that. But he just described literal mind control. I knew Nixlings were mysterious creatures, but something like that. I didn't know Nixlings could control other minds. Oh, trust me, that's Moondrop exclusive feature. At least I'm pretty sure it is. None of the other Nixlings I lived with could do things like that. I see. That made me think of what else Moondrops could do that normal Nixlings couldn't. I wish they did. It would have made puberty a lot less awkward. Trust me, wake up with a few dozen eyes all over your body. It's not a fun experience. Oh, I can imagine it isn't. What's Moondrop's job? Orion only raised his eyebrows at me in confusion. My job? What do you mean by that? Well, Nixlings have an oath, right? To protect the world from any light monsters? Well, you're not wrong. My people technically have to do that. But we haven't had to do that in about 5,000 years? Since the Celestial Genesis happened, a lot of Nixlings were relieved from that duty. Or, to put it in a modern term, put on permanent leave. So you got laid off. Orion laughed at the comparison. Yeah, you could put it like that. And as far as I'm aware, Moondrops don't really have to follow the oath. When I was younger, I was told that I'd feel a strange desire to destroy any light in my path, and I had to channel that desire into destroying the bad light, but I never really felt that desire. I guess having a piece of the moon in me curbed the urge to destroy things. Don't get me wrong, though. The light still royally pisses me off. I can barely tolerate my own fireplace at times. I'm just glad I figured out a way to have light that can actually help me see without being uncomfortable. It's just my stupid luck that heat is part of the sun's domain, though. Ugh. Well, that explains the blue lights in the daytime. I didn't know much about the light, and neither did anyone else while I was growing up. It's been debated to be sunlight, a parallel of the abyss, the afterlife, hearts of magical sun demons, or none or all of them for years. Nobody exactly knew what it was. And I didn't expect for Orion to know about it, either. His entire existence was an antithesis to light in general, not just the magical variety. Is that why you were so annoyed this morning? I didn't want to mention it, but you seemed really agitated. Yeah, sorry about that. The daytime just seriously annoys me, even not being in direct sunlight. I'm glad I finished up all my chores so I don't have to endure much sunlight today. Do you burn up in sunlight or something? You keep talking like you're a pissed off vampire. Oh, no, it's not like that. I'm more resistant to the sunlight compared to the Nixlings I knew. If anything, probably because of the part of me that's moon magic. I don't really know how it works, honestly. But I'm not going to complain about being sun resistant. It's just a really annoying inconvenience that gives me a headache sometimes. Although, honestly, that can sometimes be just as bad. Ugh, tell me about it. There's nothing that pisses me off more than getting sick and being stuck in a weird middle ground where I'm sick enough to disrupt my normal workday, but well enough to not actually have to go to the doc for meds. Ugh, I know. Tell me about it. What is the abyss? You mentioned I probably wouldn't know what it is, and your small explanation last night just made me more confused. Ah, right, the abyss. I'm guessing school didn't teach you a lot about it, huh? I scoffed lightly and rolled my eyes, but I couldn't deny that claim. It's not like it could. The understanding of the abyss is as much as our understanding of space, that is to say, almost zero. The Celestials don't let us common folk in on any of your secrets. I don't think you're common folk. Besides, it's not like us Nixlings are told much of anything. At least I wasn't. Anyway, about the abyss. From what I know, you Terrans think that the abyss is this alternate dimension only the Celestials can access, right? Yeah, pretty much. We specifically think only Nixlings and Lunamoids can use it. That makes sense, given the abyss is a giant mass of darkness, but that's not completely accurate. Even though the Lunamoids made us Nixlings, we're the only ones who can properly use the abyss. What? Wait, use? What does that mean? How do I explain this? We've got, administration access. While Lunamoids can enter and exit the abyss, Nixlings can physically manipulate it. No one really knows why, and apparently Lunamoid scientists are still trying to figure out why they can't use it. Does that make sense? I think so. It was a lot of information, honestly, but I could grasp it well enough. But if the abyss is this huge mass of darkness, why did the dream I was in have stars? That's because you were in my section of the abyss. Your section? Yeah. I'm going to be honest, Lion. I've been using the abyss for ages, and I still don't know how it works. None of my fellow Nixlings knew either, since none of them even heard of a Moondrop before. But I think the way it works is that because I'm a Moondrop, some of the abyss changed itself to fit me specifically. Usually the abyss is supposed to be full of nothing but shadows and weird light monsters that are trapped or imprisoned there. But my weird corner of it is full of stars, galaxy-like smoke that smells kind of funny, and sometimes I'll notice my own eyes looking back at me. Although, the abyss doesn't always listen to me. Damn thing has a habit of eating creatures' souls if they're in there for too long. Whoa. That explains why I felt like something was trying to consume me in my dream. And also why I was so nervous when you woke up. I thought the abyss ate a piece of your soul or something. Luckily, from what I can see, you've just got some excess moon magic on you from my spell last night. Your soul is completely intact, so don't worry. If you see that as good news, that is.
If it's not good news, I'd hate to see bad news.
Orion lets out a hearty laugh, and I joined in. How long have you been up here? Orion thought about it for a few moments, chewing the bacon in his mouth before swallowing to answer me. I think around 50 years. My jaw dropped in shock. 50 years?! Are you serious? You've been up here for that long? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just 50 years. I've been counting the moon phases since I got here, since I don't have access to a normal calendar. It's really tedious, but gets the job done. You're probably wondering how I've lived up here that long, huh? I nodded. That actually was my next question. How do you do it? You look like my age. Well, I think it's because I technically am in a weird way. Us Celestials can live way, and I mean way longer than you Terrans can. Something about being descended from gods has its perks like that. So you're immortal because of the god's blood in you? Not really. Having a long lifespan doesn't mean we can't die. Light or not, we're not bulletproof. But trust me, sometimes I wish I was. Right, he had mentioned people trying to hunt him before. I didn't think it was that serious. People shouldn't be shooting at you, Orion. Isn't it illegal to target your people now? It was Orion's turn to scoff and roll his eyes at me. Come on, Lion. We both know that's a loose suggestion at best. I sighed lightly as he shoved more bacon in his mouth. I hated that he was right. Are there more of you? More of what exactly? Moondrops, obviously. You can't be the only one. Orion tapped his chin with his fork as he thought about it. Honestly, I don't really know. You don't? How? Sorry, I just don't know. Usually I can sense when another Nixling is nearby because we both come from the shadows. But when I go into the abyss, my part of it anyway, I don't feel anyone but me. I'm supposed to be able to sense any other life forms that are in the abyss at any given time, but I don't feel anything. So either I'm one of a kind, or any other Moondrops haven't figured out how to access the abyss yet. I couldn't believe what I was hearing! I didn't know a lot about the Celestials, but I didn't know there were a lot of them, enough to inhabit the entire planet at one point. And with the amount of mixed elemental bound in the world, the idea that Orion was the only one of his kind boggled me. I would have refused to believe it if Orion wasn't telling me this in front of my face. But a much more sad thought suddenly came to mind. Does it feel lonely? Huh? What do you mean? Like, do you feel weird about the fact that you might be the only one of your people that exist? You're really sweet, Lion, but don't worry about it. I'm pretty used to being on my own. Being the only Moondrop wouldn't change that. Despite his words, he wouldn't look at me, and his smile felt forced. I didn't want to pry, but I could tell this was a sensitive topic. Thanks for answering my questions, Orion. Of course. After asking so many questions, I felt both satisfied and dissatisfied. I didn't expect to get so much information out of him. Some of the stuff he told me either confirmed or straight up contradicted my previous understandings of how the Celestials worked. I feel like scientists all over the world would kill for the chance to know what I did. But I was more worried about Orion. The fact that he's been here on his own for 50 years explained so much in a really sad way. The nervous glances, his anxiousness about his words, the sudden burst of energy when the conversation is less heavy, his fear that I was up here to hunt him. He hasn't had an actual conversation with anybody in ages. It was no surprise he was a nervous wreck. I doubt he managed to actually talk to anyone that wasn't trying to kill him or wasn't running away screaming. It was possible I was the only person to not do that. But how was he all by himself? He kept talking about other Nixlings he's met and talked with them. Where were any of them? Why weren't they around to keep him from being lonely? Where are the other Nixlings? The others? Yeah, you can't have been the only Nixling up here. Where did they go? His expression turned sour, and he glanced away from me again. That's a complicated story, Lion. One I'd rather not get into. I frowned. Why was this a question that he refused to answer after so many? How complicated? I can handle it. It's not like you didn't tell me way crazier things today. It's just complicated, Lion. Just trust me. I'm just the only Nixling around, okay? His face fell, and he sighed deeply. I wish I wasn't, but it was out of my hands. I didn't have a choice. Oh. Damn it. I shouldn't have asked him something so personal. I'm sorry, Orion. I shouldn't have asked. Don't worry about it, Lion. I get it. Some things are just better left unsaid. We sat there in awkward silence, the only noise being the gentle sway of Orion's tail. I scratched at the table, unsure what to say until Orion spoke up. I mean, when you think about it, I kinda have to be the only Nixling up here, don't I? Huh? Why? I mean, think about it. If there were two of me, that means there's two infamous mountain demons up here. The mountain demons don't really roll off the tongue that well, does it? One demon is a lot more ominous in my opinion. It took me a few seconds to realize what he was doing, lightening the mood with jokes. That revelation made me burst out laughing, which Orion seemed to like. How does that work? Wouldn't two demons mean twice the danger? You think so, but one demon means it's got a thing going on, a sort of MO that makes it recognizable. Two demons just means they're unpredictable because, well, there's two of them. Nothing said about them having to work together. Having to choose between a predictable demon or two chaotic ones isn't easy, but I know what I would pick. Which one would you pick? The choice is easy. I'm obviously picking myself. We both laughed heartily, but the giggling died in my throat when I realized what exactly we were laughing about. He just called himself an ant. Like he wasn't a living thing. He kept referring to himself as a demon, like his species didn't have a name. He talked as if he wasn't a person, but a monster. It instantly put a sour taste in my mouth. I've been calling him a creature or demon this entire time, and he wasn't even denying it. He told me he's been hunted down by people trying to kill him for being a monster. How could I not connect the dots earlier? Gods, that was awful. Hey, Lion, you done staring to space? Huh? You spaced out for a second there. What, did you run out of jokes to tell? I swallowed the lump in my throat and tried to ignore the sweat at the back of my neck. Orion. Yeah? Come on, Lion, just spit it out! I'm sorry for calling you a demon and a creature. Orion's grinning visage fell from his face and he just stared at me, an odd look of confusion in his eyes. I held my breath as I shakily waited for his answer. It's fine, Lion. I balked at the nonchalant answer. No, it isn't. I was being rude. No, trust me, it's fine. It's not the end of the world or anything besides. You're just speaking the truth. That'd be weird to try and deny it. The truth. What does that even mean? Oh crud, I almost forgot. I still have to cleanse you. Can I take your plate? We need to do this as soon as possible. I looked down at my plate. That was completely empty. I barely noticed I finished the food. Sure, you can. All right.
At least he fed me, unlike a certain someone! Screw you, Jim! I was hungry!
I got up from the table as Orion grabbed her dishes and all but tossed them into a sink. They clattered loudly against the metal interior. Be careful, Orion. You don't want to break your stuff. I know, but I can't waste any more time with the cleansing. Why? What's wrong? Is the magic spreading or something? No, it isn't. It's still in the same place, so we don't have to worry about that, but I was so focused on answering your questions, I forgot all about cleansing you. I have to do the cleansing, like, right now if I don't want any lasting damage on you. Lasting damage? I knew celestial magic was unpredictable, but I didn't expect it to be that crazy. What kind of lasting damage? If we're lucky, we won't have to find out. Here, take your stuff. Orion quickly snapped his fingers, and my backpack appeared in midair, surrounded in the same blue glow as the dishes. I stared at it in amazement as it floated there, but the glow disappeared, and I quickly caught it before it could fall to the ground. I did not want my things to be more broken than they probably were. The bag felt warm and dry, as Orion promised it would be. Thanks, Orion. Yeah, don't mention it, but we gotta get going. Now. And don't worry, you won't need to do a thing. I think I'll be able to send you home at the same time. Whoa, really? Yeah, now follow me. Orion rushed back into the tunnels, and I followed suit, hastily slipping on the straps of my backpack. He seemed to be a lot more hurried to cleanse me than before. Despite his reassurances, I couldn't help but wonder if something bad really was happening. But I couldn't see or even feel what it could be. Everything felt normal beyond the itchiness behind my eyes. Maybe he was just extra paranoid. This probably wasn't something that happened too often, or at all if I was being realistic. We ended up back in the living room. Orion motioned for me to sit down on the couch as he muttered under his breath. Okay, so do I need a sample or not? The better question is, should I need one? Maybe it would be easier to send them back if I did, but it could cause a complication with the cleansing. But would it, though? Crud. I don't know enough about my powers to know if it would. I should forego the sample. But what if sending them home without it adds even more problems? I haven't done the transportation spell in a while. What if I do it wrong? Honestly, his little murmurs were pretty cute to see, but I did still want to go home. Orion? Oh, right, sorry. I've been going over it for a while, and I'm pretty sure I know how to send you home and get the moon magic out of you. My plan is to take the magic out of you and use that excess magic to send you home. It should be just enough to send you back without any complications, and if it isn't, I can always add in a little more. Although, I rather wouldn't, since I don't know if any traces of my power would rub off on you in the process. But it should work, so don't worry. Although, I still need I need something a little weird for this. Well, what do you need? Can't be that bad, is it, my guy? I'm not gonna answer that. I need a, lock of your hair. That's not that weird! Unless it's a different lock of hair, which then maybe. What? I know, it sounds really weird, I'm sorry, but it's the only way I know how to perform the spell that will send you home. The hair is supposedly a tie to link to you and wherever you want to go. I can normally do it without any hairs, but I don't want to expose you to any more magic, so this is my best option. The hair will disappear as soon as the spell is done, so I won't have it with me or anything, I swear. As weird as it sounded, it honestly didn't sound that bad. Sounded like a good way to tie up any loose ends, if he was describing it well. But this plan did mention something crucial, at least in my eyes. All of this sounds fine, but how will I keep talking to you after this? Huh? What do you mean? I mean, how will I keep contact with you? Haven't exactly seen a phone around here, so it's not like I can give you my phone number. Orion went quiet for a few moments, standing in stunned silence before speaking again. You actually want to see me again? Of course I do! I wouldn't have asked if I didn't want to. Well, it seemed like the cat was out of the bag, but I wasn't that upset about it. After hearing his story at breakfast and realizing all of the nonsense he went through anytime he met somebody, I wanted to be there for him more than ever. He clearly needed it. Orion let out a shaky chuckle at my response. Trying to be friends with the mountain demon, huh? Bold move. I commend you for that. I frowned at his words. There he goes again with all that demon talk. He shouldn't be calling himself such awful things just for the laughs. Also, did I make it any better by not denying it before? I've called him a demon or a creature so carelessly since I met him that I barely remembered my words had meaning. I didn't know what made me feel worse, calling him such mean things to his face or him brushing it off like it was nothing. You don't really feel like a demon, Orion. Sure. Totally. Orion. Well, Lion, if you're really that desperate to keep talking to me, I'll give you a way to do it. There he goes, cutting me off again. Here, take this. Orion gently took my hand and placed his hand on top of mine. A faint blue light shone in my covered palm before he pulled away to reveal what was in it. A small blue coin was now in my hand, emitting a faint glow that lit up my palms. It felt distinctly cold, as if it wasn't touched in a while. What is this? It's a spell I gave physical form. When you flip it in the air, it'll alert me that you want to talk. Since it's got actual mass, it shouldn't attach itself to you like the magic inside of you right now. It's a one-time use thing, though, so be sure to use it when you're sure you actually want to speak. Whoa, this is amazing, Orion. It looks so beautiful. Huh? Don't mention it. You were so stubborn, I just figured. You're incredible. Huh? I was so enamored by the physical spell in front of me, I could hardly pay attention to him. This wasn't like a rune or a glyph carved onto a surface. There was something more potent and alive. I could feel Orion's presence radiating from it. Cold, but comforting. How could anyone, myself included, think he was a monster when he could do things like this? You're just incredible, Orion. Aw, Lion. If anything, I should be telling you that. No! Huh? I completely interrupted you! I am so sorry! I hastily shoved the coin in my pocket while shaking my head emphatically. I couldn't believe I got distracted by a magic nickel. Gods, I just completely missed what you were saying. I'm really sorry. What were you saying before? That you had to flip the coin in order to get my attention. Just flip in the air and it'll signal me easy peasy. And be sure to do it in a place where nobody else can see me. We wouldn't want a confrontation with any stragglers. Sounds simple enough. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if I found a way to mess up tossing a coin. Good. Now that you know what to do, let's get you home. Just, give me a lock of your hair whenever you're ready. You seemed a lot more anxious than a few minutes ago. I couldn't really blame him. Having to use someone's hair for a magic spell wasn't exactly an easy thing to ask for. I reached up to my head and yanked out a few hairs from my noggin before handing them to Orion. Thanks. This will be more than enough. Now, I should warn you, once I start the spell, you're going to poof out of here quickly. And I mean really quickly, so you might end up with some stomach pains when you get to the other side. And you need to think of the place you want to go the entire time, so the link will actually have a place to, well, link up with. Try not to think of any other place. It'll shake in the link, and I don't want you ending up on the other side of the planet or something. Ha, good one, Orion. My attempt at humor died in my throat when I realized he was, in fact, not joking. Oh, only think about my house. Got it. Yeah. Okay, you ready? Ready as I'll ever be, I guess. Very well. Now brace yourself. Orion brought the locks of my hair close to his chest, keeping them floating in his palms, his face scrunched into a look of severe concentration and precision as he kept focusing on the spell. Almost instantly, I could feel something at the back of my head begin to tug. The itchy feeling in my eyes increased, and I groaned softly in annoyance. Don't worry, that's normal. The magic is just a little stubborn. The tugging feeling persisted, and I tried to steady myself so whatever was tugging at me didn't yank me along with it. I gripped the couch underneath me so tight, I thought I almost ripped the cloth apart before. Whatever was tugging at me finally broke free and my eyes no longer felt itchy. Looking at Orion showed that he held more magic in his hands, presumably the amount that was inside of my head.
Whoa, that was a lot. How did I not notice that inside of me?
Keep your mind focused on your home now, Lion. I'm going to try and send you back.
Okay, got it.
I immediately envisioned my bedroom in my house. Small, cramped, but enough for me to call home. It was easy to think about, but everything going on around me was just so fascinating. The air in the room became so cold I thought I could see my breath. The room itself was covered in the glow of his magic, and Orion's eyes looked like they were growing brighter and brighter with each passing second. I did my best to keep my mind on my bedroom, but seeing the magic surrounding Orion was a spectacle to behold. I hope you're ready.
Shit, my bedroom! Come on, think about that one dent at the end of the wall that my landlord won't fix.
Moon above. I hope this works.
Transport!
Immediately, everything went black. It was silent darkness before I felt something pull me in. And I felt myself land on something soft.
Oh, thank God I didn't land in the wall!
And in dare open my eyes, lest my hope be dashed. I felt the covers underneath me to come firm instead. Stiff and uncomfortable. Could it really be? I slowly opened my eyes to see the wooden walls of my attic bedroom and a soundtrack from Incompetech.com. I almost couldn't believe it, but it was really my room. The crates of my stuff in it, the old desk where I used my laptop, the shelves with some spare boxes full of treasured items. I looked up at the ceiling window, squinting at the light streaming into the room. The rays were a nice burst of warmth against my cold skin. Being without sunlight for an entire day made me realize how much I missed it. Although I bet Orion wouldn't share the same sentiment, I smiled at the thought of him hissing at the sun's rays like a disgruntled bat. Reaching into my pocket, I felt over the magic coin with my fingers. Despite being in there for a while, the coin remained cold as ever. I guess that's moon magic for you. I gently tossed my backpack to the end of the room and sighed with relief. I was so happy to see these dingy walls again. Hopefully I will be able to actually use the coin to call Orion later, but who knows how much I missed. My job probably called me in. Family might have tried to call. My blog might have gotten a few notifications as well. But did I really want to worry about that right now? Haven't showered or even gone to the bathroom yet. Not to mention my phone definitely needs to recharge. At gods, I was so tired. Orion failed to mention that the journey will make me feel like I ran 10 marathons. What should I do first? Lion! My slowly closing eyes immediately shot open, hearing my last name being called. I shot up from the bed as I heard the door start to open. Oh, hey. And in came Delilah, my landlord and old college friend. I forgot she would probably be home when I came back. What the hell, Lion? Where you been? The sounds of my last name being shouted from her lips was a bit of a shock, but it was less of a discipline thing and more of a cultural thing for her. No matter how many times I had told her Lion was fine, she insisted on Lion. By the way, in case of anyone's wondering, I chose my first name and my last name to be Lion. Despite her harsh tone, I knew she was just worried about me. Sure, it was probably because rent was in a week and she needed my income, but I was missing for an entire day. I did think that the only ones who would notice me gone would be her. Lion, seriously, where did you go? Should I tell her about my little rendezvous? It's not like she asked me about it when I left, but she could actually be worried. I was gone for a while. Why, did you miss me? Can I take a nap first? I just went up the mountain. I'm fine. Oh, I could, and I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna. Delilah only glared at me angrily. My playful tone died in my throat and I lightly coughed to fill the now awkward silence. I'm sorry. Shut it, Lion. We don't have time for your nonsense right now. Being lost in the mountains made me forget that Delilah wasn't really a fan of flirting in any capacity. Oh, no! Or anything joyous for that matter. It probably wasn't a good idea to antagonize her right now. She seemed more irritated than normal. What exactly is the problem, Delilah? What kind of question is that? The cops have been looking for you. That woke me up real quick. Wait, what?
Some bus driver came to the police station and said you had gone up that creepy mountain and haven't come down. The police came to the house yesterday and asked about you. My jaw dropped. Ronnie? He seriously went to the police about it? I didn't know he was that worried about me. I had to get up way after 10 and answer questions for at least an hour. Thanks for that, by the way. I winced and glanced away from her. I didn't mean to interrupt her evening, but how was I supposed to know the cops would come knocking on our door so late? But isn't the police supposed to do that, in case a missing person comes back from wherever they went? I didn't want to mention this to Delilah, though, lest she gets even more angry. I was told that if you came back here to call up the station and let them know, but I'm not doing that for those pricks. So head down to the station at some point today so they don't interrupt me again, alright? I haven't even showered yet! Then go shower! I don't care about when you get to the station, just get there. And don't come back until you sort this shit out, okay? I don't want to be bothered by any more officers at night. Before I could get a word in, Delilah stomped out of the attic room. I could faintly hear her hair thundering behind her, a sign she was supremely pissed off by the inconvenience of the whole situation. I really didn't mean to annoy her, but it wasn't my fault the authorities followed protocol. I sighed heavily and rubbed my eyes. I should probably get going to the police station before they showed up at our doorstep and Delilah threw a fit again. So much for taking a nap. Alright. So after a proper bathroom break and a quick shower, I headed down to the police station. And good gods, it was exhausting. Why am I here? The second I arrived and introduced myself, I was detained and put into an interrogation room. Even though I was told I wasn't under arrest, it certainly didn't feel like that. Honestly, this wasn't the welcome I was expecting, but I couldn't be that surprised after what happened to the mayor's brother. The paranoia in town spiked dramatically. Everyone in this town was so superstitious. I thought the house listing was exaggerated, but no. Everyone from the school kids to the delivery driver warned me about the mountains and the horrors that resided there. When I walked past the schools, kids would stop to tell me to watch out for the night demon in the mountains. The delivery driver bringing in the rest of my things into the house told me to be careful because of the creepy mountains far from town. Hell, the first week of moving in, my elderly neighbors gave me a few dream catchers to trap the demon if it invaded my dreams, but what if I wanted him in my dreams? What if I wanted him in my dreams, but I'm pretty sure that Orion wouldn't want to be in my dreams, like being so for real here. I had brushed it off at the time, but I didn't grasp it that so many people thought something actually existed up there. And someone did exist, but he wasn't a monster. I was questioned for a long time about what happened on the mountain and how I got back out of nowhere. Obviously, I lied about Orion so they didn't throw me into an underground bunker full of crosses and just told them one moment I was knocked down the mountain, one moment and home the next, with no recollection of the events. Which was technically true if you squinted hard enough. In all honesty, what the police told me to do next was the most absurd thing I experienced all day, and I was literally teleported home by a moon shadow person. Why am I at church? I stepped out of the police car, my backpack hanging by one strap on my shoulder, and sighed deeply as I looked up at the church. Yep, they told me to go here and get purified since I told them I couldn't remember anything. I was cursed until proven otherwise and needed the curse to be expelled from my soul. Regardless of how I felt about religion, I felt like this was insane. All I did was go to a mountain for a day and I didn't even feel weird anymore. Orion got all of his magic out of my body. I saw him do it right in front of me. I knew the people here were paranoid, but in all honesty, this was overkill. I tried to protest proved futile, as they said they had called in someone special yesterday to do the purifying and they couldn't dare waste their time. As weird as I found it, they planned this in advance, and as much as I just wanted to go home, it was either do this for maybe 30 minutes or wait in a jail cell until the priest and his congregation got back from their vacation to the Republic. Which wasn't for several weeks. I rolled my eyes and groaned. Hopefully this will be over sooner than later. Honestly, wouldn't mind sitting in a jail cell for longer. I mean, I've been there. It's not that bad. Oh, hey. I walked into the church, shielding my eyes from the sunlight.
I remember coming here a few times to volunteer and assist the priest in helping the local school kids while studying. I don't know why, but it felt a lot more bright than normal. I knew the church had a lot of windows, but it actually hurt my eyes a little. Maybe spending so much time in a cave really did mess up my eyesight. Well, the police officer said that the person sent to purify me will be waiting in the church, but from what I could see, the place was deserted. Hello? Anybody here? I called out into the room to see if anyone would answer. Nothing. I was told to come here to get purified from the mountain thing. I walked through the pews fruitlessly, trying to find someone. But it wasn't so bright that I was blind. I could clearly see that nobody was here. I grumbled in annoyance. Well, now what was I supposed to do? The police were going to wait outside until I came back out all healed, and who knows what proof they were going to ask for that. I'm supposed to be here for purification? The police told me to come here. They're waiting for me outside. I kept yelling, but got no response. I must have screamed for at least 20 minutes, but instead of getting an answer, all I got was a sore throat. I huffed tiredly and rubbed my hands all over my face. Oh, come on. What the hell was this? An attempt at a stupid joke? If so, not funny. I couldn't seriously be expected to stay here until whoever was supposed to purify me came in, right? Who knows when that would be? I couldn't believe this right now. I just wanted to take a nap, damn it! Maybe I could sneak out a window or something. Gods, what a huge waste of time! I didn't mind the sound being, "Welcome, lost soul." My mind instantly stopped the rambling nonsense as I heard the voice. I looked around the church, tried to find the source, but there was still nobody there. What in the... Who's there? I'm up here, lost one. It didn't occur to me to look up. What the fuck? Why? Who? Why? And when I did, my jaw dropped in astonishment. The voice I had been hearing that came from above belonged to him. Long golden hair in a neat plait flowed behind him as his cloak flapped underneath him, golden sparkles moving in and out of the fabric. A bright golden staff was held in one hand as the other was reaching out, reaching towards me. Okay, I get it with the angel spiel. Like, can we get on with this? The tail of a bird gently moved underneath him, 2 large feathers flowing along with it. But what shocked me the most was his wings. Brilliant wings of gold flapped slowly to carry him from the ceiling. Leftover feathers fell to the floor as he flapped, but he didn't even seem to mind. I tried to look at his eyes, but they remained closed, and looking up even further to a sparkling halo made me gasp. I finally realized what was in front of me. You're an etherling. Pieces of sunlight brought to life with sunstone. They were the dutiful servants to the light and their creators, the Solaran, protecting the world from evil forces of darkness with their holy powers. No wonder the police told me they couldn't waste their visitors' time. An actual celestial helping the mortals beneath them? Most regions will kill to get a photograph of this happening. Yes, lost soul. I have been blessed by the holy light to hold that status. Okay. As his feet touched the floor, his wings and tail fluttered back into his back as his staff disappeared in a beam of light. Now he looked almost normal, if it wasn't for the halo floating above his head indicating what he was. His eyes remained closed, but it felt like he could see directly into my soul as he walked up to me. I would be a little scared if I wasn't so amazed. It was truly an honor to be called here by a townsfolk. I thank the light for letting me be the one to arrive. His face grew solemn as he seemingly looked at me more closely, but how could he do that with his eyes closed? But it seems you are not blessed by the light as many others in this town. That is truly a shame. Wait a second. What? If you would like, I would be more than happy to show you some ways you can express devotion to the light. It welcomes anyone and everyone, no matter who you are. I don't like this. I don't. It wouldn't take too much of your time. I promise. No, I'm not here for this. Just get on with the purification and let's get out of here. What do I even say to this? You're really pretty. Can you not? Can you not? But I'm gonna throw him off guard. I'm gonna throw him off. I'm gonna throw him off. The words that left my mouth without even thinking about it. His calm and serene demeanor seems to break the second the words left my mouth. His eyes popped open to reveal golden irises and sparkle-shaped pupils, which were staring at me in shock. What? It just occurred to me what I had just said. Instantly, I could feel my face turning red from the embarrassment. Ah, crap! Yeah, I'm so sorry. That came out of nowhere. Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. Not that I think you're ugly or anything, quite the opposite. I just mean I didn't mean to say that to you. Well, I did, but not to your face. Not that I think you should be told that you look nice. Was my thoughts the word filter on vacation or something? Ah, shut up, lion! The etherling was also blushing deeply. His face flushed gold. He pulled at the tight collar of his shawl and kept his eyes firmly planted onto the ground. And this is where I corrupt the angel! Thank you? It was more of a question than an actual response. Gods above, why did I have to be so stupid? We stood there together in an awkward silence for what felt like forever before he finally decided to make the first move. He cleared his throat, tried to gather himself up again before returning to face me with a wide smile once more. I suppose proper introductions are in order. You may call me Ravi. I'm Lion. Very good to meet you, Lion. Now, can you tell me why exactly you're here to get cleansed today? The report I was given was a bit too frazzled for me to get any information out of it. I truly don't mean to be rude, but the way it was worded seemed like the officers were overreacting just a tad. So, why have I been summoned here? I swallowed the forming lump in my throat. I forgot that this might come up. I was going to have to tell him about Orion. And the thought of doing that made me feel really anxious. Something that everyone knew about the Celestials is that the two factions absolutely despised each other. The sun and the moon sides have been fighting for millennia, if not aeons. When I was a kid, I went on a field trip to a ginormous crater that was a result of a fight between a Solaran and a Lunamoid, and that single crater was bigger than the entire oligarchy capital. And if I remember correctly, the Nixlings and Etherlings hated each other as much as their craters did. So I wasn't too confident on bringing up the fact that I was here because a Nixling, his sworn enemy, found me dying on a mountain. What could I do? Do I just fill time and avoid answering the questions, or do I just bite the bullet and tell him outright? I will need to tell him eventually. Lion, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. What should I do? I stall. I'm gonna stall. I care more about Orion than Ravi. I stall. Nope, I had to stall. I did not want to experience any kind of holy wrath he would let off if he found out why I was actually here. Maybe if I was lucky, he would forget about the question at all. How about I ask you a question instead? Huh? Me? Yeah, you're an Etherling, aren't you? You've got to be full of interesting things to tell me. We weren't taught a lot about you guys in school since the Celestials are so secretive, but I'd love to know more about you. Sure. I suppose telling you a bit about myself wouldn't be that bad. What would you like to know? Well, I should have thought about some actual questions before going down this road. I racked my brain trying to figure out what to ask, but all I could think about was one thing. What's going on with your eyes? Huh? Shit, was that seriously all I could come up with? Well, I can't back down now. Your eyes? I don't mean to be rude. I really don't, but I'm just curious about how you know where I am with them closed. I understand. Don't worry. I get this question a lot. There are 2 reasons for that. He took a light breath and started to speak, which sounded more like rehearsed speech than his actual thoughts. It is the mission of Etherlings to spread the truth of the light. That is our duty given to us by our holy God. And to expose our eyes to any false truths that go against him is sacrilegious. His blank face returned to its warm smile. So in short, the first reason for my eyes being closed is because it's part of my faith. As for the second reason, well, that's a very simple answer. I'm also blind.
My eyes widened in surprise.
I feel like an asshole, but
Whoa, really?
yes, don't worry. I don't expect everyone to know, but I can see you just fine, or more accurately,
Feel you. A little fast, don't you think, Ravi? I mean, we just met, but if you want to feel more, I'm not gonna be opposed to it. I mean, sure, yes.
I've been taught how to sense the soul energy of others without needing a direct eye line. It took a long time. And I mean, a really long time. Before I could properly pinpoint and separate different people's energies, everything was a massive blob at first, and trust me, that was not fun.
Whoa, that sounds insane. Usually people get 100 different eye implants to not have to use glasses. Ravi laughed in amusement at the statement.
Well, I wish I could get glasses, but it'd prove pretty pointless, honestly. Without my energy sight, I just see even more blurry shapes. Does that answer your question?
I think it does, yeah.
Good. Now, can you tell me why you needed to be purified exactly?
Crap.
Are you sure? Can't you just wave your hands and say I'm cured? As easy as that would make my job, I can't. I need to know exactly what happened so I can do the proper purification. Contrary to popular beliefs, sun magic isn't completely good and pure all the time. I don't want to accidentally hurt you. I'll answer any other questions you may have, but it would be best if I healed you first. One will take significantly longer than the other. Trust me.
I picked at my nails anxiously. That plan didn't last too long. I was going to have to tell him whether I was ready or not, and I definitely wasn't ready.
Maybe he wouldn't be as mad as I thought. He's been so calm and collected this entire conversation. Why would he suddenly snap and blow into a rage about it?
It had to be against his religion to go off the rails on an unsuspecting innocent, right? Of course. With an anxious breath in and out, I looked back to his face. Closed eyes look at me in concern. Okay, I'll tell you, but you need to promise me you won't do anything crazy like blow up the church or vaporize me or whatever.
Ravi chuckled lightly, obviously amused by my words.
I'd appreciate it if I wasn't actually feeling a little bit scared.
You have nothing to worry about, Lion. I wouldn't be sent down here if it wasn't urgent, and I've been tasked to deal with urgent matters concerning a variety of different things. Trust in me. I will do you no harm.
His calming tone did its work, as I felt myself start to relax a little underneath his words. I stopped picking at my nails and took a deep breath. Okay, I'm here because... I hesitated, the fear still deep in me, but Ravi was patient. He only nodded, indicating me to keep going. I sucked in the air through my teeth and clicked my tongue. I just had to say it, like ripping off a band-aid. I'm here because the Nixling found me. I blurted out as fast as I could, hoping with how quickly I said it, I wouldn't be questioned further, but I was horribly mistaken. Ravi's smile remained as wide as ever, but the warmness of his expression was gone. I could faintly see his jaw make slow movements, as if he was grinding his teeth. He stood there in silence, his jaw clenching, and his smile looking more and more forced the more I looked at him. I stood there where I stood, not wanting to utter a single word in fear of angering him, but I started to lose track of time with how long we'd been standing there. Maybe I should say something? He looked like he was barely keeping it together.
Come again?
The change was so sudden, it made me flinch. Gone was the calm tone and warm smile from before. A sharp glare of rage and a curled lip took its place. His anger was barely concealed as he tried to keep his composure. I could actively see his hands start to physically shake from how mad he was getting. Shit, I need to say something before he blew a gasket. I saw an Ixling, and I did talk with him, but he They didn't hurt me. I promise, I'm perfectly fine. Just look at me. No shadow scars or slash marks on me at all. I promise, I'm fine. Trust me, I think you'd recognize it if I was actually in some sort of danger, right? You have to be a master at that stuff. That barely seemed to get through to him. His sneer was gradually getting more and more intense, and I swore I could hear a faint crack in his jaw. Then I noticed a trail of gold leaking out of his mouth. Wait a second. Ravi, I think you're bleeding. He didn't even seem to hear me. Despite that, I reached into my bag's side pocket and pulled out a handkerchief, packed in case I needed to blow my nose. I slowly stepped up close to him, on my toes, and started to wipe away the blood trailing down his mouth. I had to stand on the tips of my feet since he was so much taller than me. That certainly seemed to get his attention as he stopped his teeth grinding and stared down at me in shock. What are you doing? I rolled my eyes and scoffed a little. Cleaning up your blood, obviously. How badly were you grinding your teeth? Do you know how dangerous that is? Ravi just looked at me in disbelief, not knowing what to say. My throat felt unnaturally dry as I tried to get all the blood off. I know you're a demigod or whatever, but that's no excuse to hurt yourself like that willy-nilly, especially over something so trivial. His expression finally changed at that, almost morphing into what could only be described as anger. But it's not trivial. You were hurt by a nixling. I was not! I told you I'm fine. You'd have sensed something off if I wasn't, right? Ravi was clearly trying to stay angry, but he failed miserably. His eyes were somber as he let out a sigh. Yes, I would have. So there's nothing to purify, right? Ravi was silent for a few moments before nodding in what felt like defeat. Satisfied, I finished cleaning up the rest of the blood from his mouth and finally backed away. Without the blood dripping from his mouth, his face went back to its normal serene look, but it felt more sad than before. I apologize for scaring you, Lion. I truly didn't mean to cause you any distress. It's just... His tone of voice was so harsh I thought his throat would go hoarse from how intense he spoke. Thinking about those things make me sick. I could only stay silent at that. If I thought the townsfolk hated nixlings, then Ravi must have felt something stronger because I never heard someone talk about another with such contempt in their life. I knew the two factions hated each other, but Ravi looked like he was about to crack another tooth from how angry he looked. All I could think about was how wrong he and everyone else were about them, especially Orion. Ravi took a shaky breath before looking back at me. Even though I can't sense anything, I need to know if the nixling left anything with you. A keepsake or a knickknack of some kind? The weight of the coin in my pocket suddenly became a lot heavier. I swallowed the dryness in my throat and looked away from his gaze. Why does that matter exactly? If he did leave something with you, then I need to see if it's something dangerous. If it is, I'll need to destroy it for your own safety. I scratched my palms nervously. While that made sense, his previous reaction to just hearing what happened to me wasn't that great. How would he react to seeing a physical spell cast by Orion? Say I did have something. How do I know you won't just destroy it regardless? I promise, as long as it holds no threat to you or anyone in this town, then I'll allow you to keep it. Really? Really? I promise you, if it's truly worthless junk, then there's nothing for you or your town's authority to be upset with, right? It made more sense the more I thought it over. Don't trust him! Maybe I could play it off as just a weird coin he enchanted to look pretty, and he wouldn't look into it any further. I debated not showing it to him, but I felt like I revealed myself a little too late, so hiding it was no option. No! Okay, well, he did give me something. Don't do it! Which was? Just a dumb coin he had laying around. I pulled it out of my pocket and shakily handed it to Ravi to examine. He turned the coin a few times in his hands, trying to feel any scrutinies with it. He just made it sparkle to look nice. A souvenir for keeping him company, you know? Yes, I do. He stared at the coin for several moments, and for a second, I could have sworn I saw his eyes flash gold, but it went by so quickly. I'm more than sure I imagined it. Eventually, after what felt like forever, he gingerly handed the coin back to me. Oh, thank God. I swiftly shoved it back into my pockets and looked back at Ravi with an uncomfortable smile.
I can't find anything wrong with that coin. Luckily for the both of us, no curses or hexes of any kind.
Oh, good. That is very good. Glad to be curse-free. Does that mean I get to go now?
Ravi looked at me carefully, and even with his eyes closed, I felt like he was examining me like one would do with a bug under a microscope. I felt a bead of sweat streaming down my face as I tried my best to make eye contact. I think it would be best if I said a quick prayer and accompanied you home.
I just groaned.
Was that seriously necessary?
I thought you said I was curse-free!
You are, but for the sake of the townsfolk, I think it would be best if I did something rather than nothing. It will be fast, and all you need to do is stand there. I shall be doing all the work. Besides, my superiors want me to come back with definitive results from the trip, and if I told them I did nothing but wish someone well after they interacted with a nixling, I'd be in a lot of trouble, and I don't want that at all.
Damn, I was hit right where it hurt.
Needing to do something for your boss when it really wasn't necessary.
I was instantly thrown back to the countless number of times Ronnie forced me to input my ID card into the scanners to leave town, giving me a pissed off look as he did so. As if he, too, didn't want to keep doing this over and over. I groaned in exasperation and rubbed my eyes. Despite his attitude towards nixlings, I didn't want him getting reprimanded by whoever he answered to just because the one person who was sent to help didn't want to do a single prayer. I wasn't about to be that guy. Besides, did I really want to drive along with those stuffy cops who were treating me like a living nuke the entire time we came over here? Honestly, no. No, I didn't. Okay, fine, one prayer, but that's it.
Very well. Don't worry. I shall be swift. Just remain still.
I did as I was told and stood as still as I could. Ravi gently held my shoulder and put 2 fingers to my forehead, his closed eyes slightly scrunched in concentration.
May the holy light watch over you.
The center of my forehead went warm, as if a patch of sunlight had decided to rest there for the day. Satisfied, Ravi stepped away, and his bright smile was back on his face.
Now tell me, Lion, do you feel that radiant light has blessed you just this once?
I didn't even have to think about my answer. Oh, shit! Not again!
Yes. Yes, I do. Excellent.
I confusingly felt the front of my forehead. The warm patch had faded away as if it was never there. Weirdly enough, my eyes also felt a little dry out of nowhere. I don't really feel any different.
Don't worry. You're not supposed to. It was only a simple prayer.
To be given a prayer by an etherling. Some of the old church ladies I knew would have ripped their legs off for a chance like that. I don't like this. Get that strange angel man away from me.
Now, shall I walk you home?
I went to say yes, but I hesitated. I knew his whole thing was being a good servant of the light and all, but I didn't exactly want to lead this guy to my house. I don't trust him. His reaction to me just saying the word nixling seriously put me off. If I was going to use the coin to summon Orion, I don't want him anywhere near it. I could just take him on a wild goose chase around town. He'd be confused at best and suspicious at worst. Where could I go? Then I remember where I wanted to go before heading off to sleep at Orion's place. How do you feel about the library? Ravi was initially confused at first, but eventually walked me to the library as I asked. The police had no problems with it, thankfully. As we headed there, I could practically feel the eyes staring at us on my skin with how hard people were looking. Having a literal angel walking around town would do that. Thankfully, people had the sense to leave us alone. Or maybe they were too scared to approach him, since most people here were pretty superstitious about the Celestials in general. The desk clerk was too busy gaping at Ravi to even bother checking us in, which I was personally grateful for. Man, I don't know if I missed this song. We walked through some of the book aisles together before I looked back at the angel, who seemed to be looking around the place. Well, here we are, the library, right where I wanted to be.
Yes, it is.
His confirmation of my words was nice, but he still stood there awkwardly. I felt my grin start to waver as I scratched at my sleeves. So, can you go now?
Oh, He actually looked a little surprised, as if he forgot he was just escorting me here. Right, this is definitely where we part ways. However, I would like to see more of this library.
Shit, was he going to be watching me the whole time?
Wait, you should?
Wait, you would? Why?
Why, yes, I've never been to a library so small. It's very quaint. The libraries back home are so big and grand. I would like to see what this place has to offer.
Man, show off!
I'm sure there's a few books in Braille that I could find. That was an unexpected answer, but I would gladly take it over him following me, lest he find out what I'm trying to search.
Well, who am I to deny the fancy pants his chance at seeing humble town life?
And you'd be fine if I left without you, right? Of course I would. I merely want to see what your town has to offer. Consider this our final exchange for the day.
I hope so!
The way he said it was so normal, I couldn't help but giggle at it. It was oddly cute in a way.
No need to be so formal about it, Ravi. Just say see you later. Us casual people down below say it all the time.
Oh, alright. See you later? It was such simple words, but the way he said it, as if he was figuring out what the words were for the first time, made me burst into a fit of giggles. Ravi seemed a bit surprised at my reaction, slightly tilting his head in confusion. What's so humorous?
Nothing, it's just the way you said it was really funny. It's kinda cute.
Ravi's face flushed a tad, and I giggled again at his own reaction, which just made him blush even more. I am glad my attempt at your slang is bringing you joy.
It most certainly is. Keep practicing with that and you'll be fine, Ravi. Trust me.
Very well. I shall see you later, Lion.
Ravi gave me one more happy smile before disappearing into the rows of books. If it wasn't for his halo giving him away, I wouldn't have known he was there. But now that he was gone, it was time to do what I wanted to do in the first place. I immediately rushed over to the celestial section of the library. Honestly, this part of the building creeped me out a lot. There were spiders crawling all over the barren shelves, and I swore the lights made this place look creepy on purpose. There were hardly any books on the shelves since nobody knew enough about celestials to publish definitive books on them. The books sat there, mostly collecting dust, as nobody wanted to read the books if they couldn't help it. Except for me, of course. I'd read and reread the library's current selection on these celestials a few dozen times already, so I knew nothing in these pages that would help me. Thankfully, a new shipment of books had come in. If the box on the ground was anything to go by, and some of them had to be about celestials, I didn't know how many there would be, but it was certainly a good place to start. I knelt down to the floor and tore open the sealed box with my nails. New, fresh books laid inside, the smell of new paper filling me with delight. Alright, let's see what we got here. I grabbed a book out of the box, expected to see a graphic novel exaggerating the monstrousness of the Lunamoids, or a science textbook explaining how celestial magic tied in with elemental science. But that wasn't what I found at all. That looks familiar! I confusedly pulled out a book called 101 Ways to Cook a God. It seemed to be a romance book, which was fine, but not what I was looking for. I placed it down beside me and pulled out another one. Okay, these are all just references. The next book was called The Perfect One for Me. Another romance book. Still not what I was looking for. I put that one down and pulled out another. Oh, come on, that's just Klein! I pulled out a book called My Strange Life of My Digital Boyfriend. Another romance book. How many of these were romance books? I pulled out book after book trying to find something related to celestials, but nothing. It was just romance book after romance book all the way through. I just stared at the pile of books around me in confusion and disbelief. Was there seriously a mix-up between the different books? How was that even possible? Did I have to go into the romance section to see if the celestial books are over there? Why was a box full of so many romance books put back here anyway? I kept rummaging through the box, wanting to find something that would make this seem more than a sick joke played on me by the universe. This could not actually be happening, right? I actually can't believe this right now.
I stopped when I felt something hard graze my fingertips. Not the hardcover of a book. This felt like a stone. No, it felt metallic. I wrapped my fingers around the object and pulled it out of the very bottom of the box, hidden underneath various romance novels and manga. My eyes widened when I looked at the book in front of me. What I felt seemed to be a piece of metal, carved into the shape of a crescent moon, a purple gemstone in its crevice. Intricate swirls with stars trimmed the edges of the book, and the cover featured a black void dotted with constellations. A bookmark with a moon-shaped pattern peeked out behind the cover. If I squinted, I could swear I saw the pages glowing. Everything clicked, and it became very clear why this book was hidden all the way back here, with even more books hiding underneath it. This book just radiated magic. Not just any magic, Lunamoid magic. The magic of the Celestials. An honest-to-God magical book created by them was here in the library, and I was holding it right now. Questions flooded my mind. How did this get here? Who brought it here? Who looked at this and thought it should end up in a random town's library and not in a science lab or in the archives of a Lunamoid treasury? There was no doubt about it. I had to show this to Orion. He needed to see what this was. Maybe it could help him gain control over the abyss. I itched to open the book and get a peek of what was inside. I didn't expect to be able to understand what was written down, but wouldn't hurt to check, right? My fingers inched towards the cover and stopped when I heard a thud and a clatter nearby. Ow! Oh no, I should clean this up. I heard him start to pick up books and place them back on their shelves. I almost forgot he was here. I looked down at the book with more anxiety than before. I could not let him see this. He might vaporize it the second he laid eyes on it, and I had to get this to Orion. I should get out of here before I'm caught. But I really wanted to see just a little bit of what it had to offer. Who knows what it could tell me? Yes, please. If I was really quick about it, I was sure I could flip through the pages and get a glimpse of something interesting. Man, what is this? I opened up the book to a random page, and as I suspected, the words were unreadable to me. I could only describe what I saw as moon gibberish as I scanned the page. It wasn't a lot I could discern from the text, and the diagram next to it was even less helpful. It was only a simple image of what looked like an eclipse and souls surrounding it. Without being able to read the text, I had no idea what it actually meant. Maybe Lunamoids had a ritual concerning their souls during a particular eclipse. Things always became tense around the world whenever those happened because of the celestial ties to their respective gods, the sun and the moon. It kinda looked like the moon was covering up the sun. Perhaps it was a ritual to control one's soul when they went out of whack during the solar eclipse. Lunamoids were alleged to get a massive power boost when that happened. Unless I was reading this completely wrong and it was the other way around. In which case, maybe it was instructions on how to avoid the light of the sun when a lunar eclipse happened. Gods, I couldn't tell. Lion! Lion! The sound of Ravi's usually calm tone being hyperactive and excited made me jump, but also intrigued. I wonder what he was up to. I quickly shoved the book in my backpack before standing up, just in time to see him walk up to me happily with a book in his hands. You wouldn't believe it, but there are cookbooks here in Braille. I managed to find one that I wanted. It was a little surprising but welcoming to see him full of excitement. Never saw someone so happy over something so small, and seeing his serene face and a now wide grin made my heart flutter with joy. Whoa, really? A cookbook? Yes, I can't wait to read it. I thought someone of your status would have lots of maids and servants around to do that for you. Ravi's happy grin melted into a sheepish one before he let out a hesitant chuckle. Well, I do, but I do like to cook in my free time as well. Well, I was joking about that, but his anxious expression made me raise my eyebrows even wider. Damn. I wish I had servants like that. Do you know how much time I could spend on my blog if I didn't have to do laundry or dishes? I'm going to assume a lot? Yeah, quite a lot. Ravi chuckled at my expense, but it seemed a lot more playful than condescending. Now that it was right in front of me, the weight of the book in my bag felt a dozen times heavier. Yeah, I should probably get out of here before he noticed something was off. Did you find what you were looking for here? Not really, which kind of sucks. It certainly does. I'm very sorry.
Don't sweat it, Ravi. It's no big deal.
Despite my reassurances, Ravi looked a lot more upset about it than I did. I didn't know why.
It was just a book. I definitely wasn't stealing right now.
I'm going to head home right now, okay? Hopefully I'll see you later. I only half meant it. I wouldn't mind seeing him again if the book was as far away from him as possible. I hope to see you later as well, Lion. I gave him a small wave of goodbye as I left the small corner and headed out of the library.
Whoo! He's gone! Stepping out of the library, I let out a huge sigh of relief, blinking my eyes rapidly to try and get some moisture back in them. I didn't realize that just walking out of a library could be so stressful. Whatever. Now I could... My train of thought stopped when I heard a strange noise. What was that? Why is there a strange-looking crow looking on me from the roof of the library? It's looking down at me with beady eyes. Weird. We don't usually get a lot of crows around these parts. I only gave a small head gesture in acknowledgement before preparing to walk down the road. It's not going to follow me, right? Now with some distance between me and Ravi, I could hopefully get some answers. It was still early in the day when I got back home. Delilah was napping, so I could read the book in peace. Despite my little peek at the library, I wanted to see if I could discern any more information from the pages. I kept looking at it as I leaned against my bed sheets. The cover itself was so beautiful. I wonder what kind of metal and gems were used on it. Sure, I couldn't read the text as it was mostly nonsense, but I had the internet. Maybe there were some translations out there. So I flipped the book open to the first page and got to reading. Oh, man, I spent quite a while. I read through the book all day, and I was exhausted by the end of it. Reading was supposed to be relaxing, but constantly looking up whatever it was that I was looking at got old 10 minutes in. But it was the weekend and I had nothing better to do, so just kept reading. Shockingly, the internet couldn't help me with most of the things I googled, like a piece of lost media. Everything I searched was either nowhere to be seen or was merely speculated about on where you could find it. The world's limited knowledge of the Celestials was a serious detriment to my attempt at research. I knew those guys' whole thing was being secretive for the sake of the planet, but they couldn't talk to at least one scientist and tell them what was up. I barely understood what the diagrams in the book was trying to say. I could only hope that Orion knew what any of this could mean. Speaking of Orion, I wanted to get this to him as soon as possible. Now that I was away from Ravi, I think I could use the coin safely. But I couldn't use it here. I didn't know what it would look like when he was summoned, and I did not want Delilah to either yell at me for a possible critter in the house or run away at the sight of a nixling. I needed to do this somewhere more discreet, but where? Come on, Lion, think. Wait, I got it! I leapt out of bed and quickly pushed on my shoes before shoving my phone and the book in my backpack. I knew exactly where I was going to go. I am cooked! Okay, honestly, this sounded a lot cooler in my head, but there was nothing cool about an old billboard at the edge of town. The only thing about it was that the crow from earlier decided to roost there. All it really did was give the name of the town and provided me a good place to signal Orion. If there was any collateral damage from getting his attention, it would be against the billboard and the patches of dry grass, not anybody actually living here. Getting here was thankfully pretty easy. I hadn't seen Ravi all day, and with the sun slowly going down, I could only assume he was going to sleep to avoid the moonlight. I should ask him what he does the next time I saw him. Hopefully without Orion present. I reached into my pocket and looked at the coin once again. It still remained cold as ever, despite so much time against my body heat. The magic of the Celestials will never cease to amaze me. If I was remembering Orion's earlier words, I just had to flip it into the air and it would signal for him to come. I didn't exactly know what the signal would entail, but he said it would get his attention, right? I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding and wiped my forehead. I didn't know why I felt so nervous. I didn't really have a reason to. Other than the fact that this might literally blow up in my face, but I'm pretty sure Orion would have told me if it would. Right? Right! Well, he wasn't going to summon himself. With a final deep breath, I flipped the coin while aiming it into the air. The coin burst into a flurry of sparkles when it made its arch.
I watched in amazement as the sparkles slowly fell all around me, and I reached out to touch one of them before they all disappeared. When they were gone, everything was silent. I waited patiently for something else to happen, but nothing. I awkwardly stood there while trying to ignore the cawing of the crow behind me. Was this supposed to happen? Was the spell a dud? I had no idea what I was supposed to expect here. Did he give me a fireworks spell instead of something? I didn't want to think that I was given a nothing burger, but honestly... Lion! I gasped when I heard my name with his voice. It wasn't a dud! I whirled around to see Orion appearing from the shadows, quickly shaking some of them off like it was annoying bits of sand. Orion, you came! I ran over to him with a smile on my face, but it quickly disappeared, seeing the look on his face. He looked really worried, almost scared. Is everything okay? Is something wrong? He sounded so panicked, but why? Nothing that crazy happened earlier, unless he could somehow smell the prayer Ravi did earlier, but that seemed a little far-fetched, even for Nixling. Ah, don't worry, Orion, I'm fine. Today was pretty good, actually. It was. I mean, that's good and all, I'm not saying it's not. I just felt like something was wrong. Trust me, Orion, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. Ori? The nickname slipped out of me before thinking about it, but I didn't see it as that big of a deal. Yeah, friends give each other nicknames, don't they? And I bet you do the same thing when I show you what I've got for you. I started to wrangle with my backpack while Orion looked around the patchy dirt field anxiously. Well, Lion, I don't know what exactly you have to show me, but I need to tell you that. His voice died in his throat when he saw what I was pulling out of my bag. He didn't keep his eyes off of the book the whole time that I was holding it. I swore. I could see his eyes actually start to brighten from how shocked he was. His next words were choked out, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing, which was a fair reaction. What is that? Surprise! I'm pretty sure it's a spellbook of some kind made by the Lunamoids. I found it at the library. You really got this from me? Of course I did. I didn't expect to find something so incredible, but I didn't want it to go to waste collecting dust in the back of the shelves. Or worse, burned. Or even worse, sent off to a science lab to be examined and then burned. So I figured, I'd snap it and give it to you. It's not like anybody else was going to miss it. Orion only remained silent as I gently handed the book over to him. From the way he was holding it, you'd think he was holding an active bomb. His eyes remained wide, and it looked like he stopped breathing from the shock. I was happy for him, but honestly, I was getting a little worried, but since Lunamoids literally lived on the moon, I didn't know if I should be worried or not. Maybe he didn't need to breathe at all. Ori, you okay? Still, he didn't respond. I could feel the happy grin start to slip from my face when he finally spoke up. This is more than just a spellbook. It's a piece of Lunamoid culture. The moon herself blessed these pages. I can feel it. Okay, he was talking now and more importantly, breathing. This was good. That's awesome. Maybe you can learn how to control the abyss with this. It's not just the abyss. This holds an ocean of untapped potential for me. If I learned how to use this properly. He looked back at me with wide eyes, his pupils dilating. I could learn about what I am and more. This is the best thing anyone's ever gotten to me in my lifetime. Orion dropped the book and took a sudden step towards me, grabbing one of my hand with both of his. I was a little taken aback, but my surprise went away when I saw the smile on his face. Oh, Stardust, I can't thank you enough for this. I don't know how I could ever repay you. I matched his grin happily, seeing the normally anxious attitude be replaced with an expression of pure delight and joy warmed my heart. You don't have to pay me back, Ori. You're my friend. I knew I couldn't trust him! My words died when I heard the noise. I stared at the thing protruding from his stomach, with slowly winding eyes, Orion doing the same. My face was frozen in shock as I looked at him. His happy face slowly turned to what felt less like pain and more so outrage as he watched purple blood spurt from his chest.
I could only watch in stunned silence as he grabbed the thing jutting out of his chest and easily snapped it in two with his fist. Now that he was holding it, I could see what it really was, and my breathing stopped. It was a golden arrow, clearly made of light. Orion? It started to dissipate in his hands as he looked back up at me. Lion, listen to me. You need... What the fuck? But I didn't get to hear what he said as a beam of golden light came out of nowhere and blasted him far across the grass. Orion? Screaming proved useless as he was obviously too far for him to hear me now. I wanted to ask what was going on and where that came from, but I didn't need to be a genius to figure out what just happened. I am so sorry, Lion. I am going to deck you. I don't care if you were a demigod. I will throw hands with you. The calm and serene tone startled me as I saw Ravi appear out of nowhere beside me. I could see his eyes glowing beneath his eyelids, obviously from blasting such an attack. Ravi, what did you do? What I had to in order to find the demon. I apologize for putting a track on you. It should be gone now, but it was the only option I had. As if on cue, my eyes start to water and I rapidly blink to get them moisturized. The prayer. Of course. No wonder my eyes have been feeling dry all day. You used your powers to track me? Just to find Orion! How could you? He's done nothing wrong! I'm sorry for using you, but you must understand, I cannot let this demon plague you or these lands any further. I just stared at him in disbelief while trying to ignore the tears beating up in my eyes. The pure callousness in his voice was so painful to listen to. How can you just say that to someone who did absolutely nothing wrong to anybody? He didn't even hurt me and you know it. Just because he didn't now doesn't mean he won't later. I won't allow one of them to bring any harm to you. How could somebody so holy say such cruel things? Being sworn enemies didn't mean you had to harm anyone who did nothing wrong, right? He didn't even seem focused on me, only trying to look at where he blasted Orion. I can't believe you right now, Ravi. How could you? Stay behind me. As if I'm doing anything, you! No, I mean it. Stay behind me! He seemed more panicked than before, and I wanted to just roll my eyes, but when I glanced at where he was looking, I could feel my face drain of color. Cool. A giant mass of shadows covered in eyes and tentacles was looking back at me. The sky and earth was surrounded in so many shadows, I could barely see in front of me. The eyes were glaring, and the tentacles were writhing in anger, and the one controlling them sounded even more angry. I knew it! An etherling! You disgusting waste of a star! I'll snuff out that light of yours if it's the last thing I do! A blast of blue energy hurled towards us, and Ravi just barely managed to shove me out of the way before getting blasted with it himself. His push was clearly enchanted with magic, as I was sent sprawling across the grass and landed right next to the billboard. I struggled to get my bearings, and I heard the crow cawing louder than ever. My head felt dizzy from the impact, and I could feel my hands were scratched up from the push. When I was finally able to look up, I could only stare on in shock. Oh shit! The two were engaged in what could only be described as a magical battle to the death. You could describe it as an anime battle. The two were fighting so fast and so hard, all I could see was the light of their magic and the impact from where they connected. The insults they threw at each other was drowned out by the sound of my own pounding heart. It would be amazing to see if it wasn't so terrifying. Ravi just decided to attack Orion for no reason, other than him being a nixling. He didn't even do anything wrong, and he was supposed to die just because his species clashed with his own? But Orion, even though he was right to defend himself, he didn't even seem to notice that I was right next to Ravi. The first blast would have hit us both if Ravi didn't push me out of the way. The hurting an etherling mattered more than the safety of the populace. Although, couldn't I ask the same of Ravi? He could have hit me with the arrow if he wasn't careful. If they were fighting in the town, would they care about the people getting hurt?
Was this what the hatred between the Celestials truly looked like? I didn't realize they had gone silent until the crow's caws made me jump. I looked back up at the sky in confusion. Okay, seriously, these fight scenes are pretty darn cool. Both of them seem to be at a standstill, breathing and panting heavily while trying to stay upright. Ravi's wings flapped shakily in the air, and Orion's shadows was stretched far to keep him standing. I could see them coated in each other's blood. Ravi's tailored suit splattered purple, and Orion's homely clothes stained gold. Seeing both of them like this made my heart hurt, despite what had happened. The thought of these two fighting until one or both of them died was too much to think about. Maybe I could try and get their attention now that things seem to stop for a moment. Guys? I yelled as loud as my voice would allow, but only Orion looked back at me with a wide-eyed expression. Ravi seemed too busy catching his breath, as if he was rusty in combat and needed a break. Stardust, you're still here. Yeah? You shouldn't be here. You need to get to safety. I know, but I need you two to stop. I will stop. His attention went back to Ravi, glaring at him in disgust. As soon as this pathetic light is snuffed from existence. I could only look at him in slight horror. How could someone who was so kind to me before see something so awful? Snuffed out? Ravi's words were harsh and blunt as he glared back at Orion, his hands glowing brightly. I should be saying that about you, you horrific demon! Suddenly, he blasted another ray of light at Orion, who deflected it easily. Right in my direction. I gasped and ducked on instinct, waiting for it to hit, but it never did. Hesitantly, I opened my eyes to see I was not, in fact, vaporized by holy light. I would have celebrated if it wasn't for the fact that Ravi and Orion's faces went from enraged to horrified. Lion! Get out of the way! The way of what? It was then I heard the creaking. I am cooked! I looked up. The light didn't hit me. It hit the billboard. And now a huge chunk of it was heading right towards me. I had to move. Now! Ah! Barely thinking, my legs moved on their own as I jumped out of the way, landing on the ground and narrowly dodging the falling debris. I kept scrambling back, even when it stopped falling, my body in such a frightened state I couldn't do anything but move. The two Celestials finally stopped their fighting to quickly rush over to me with worried expressions on their faces and blood on their clothes. I panted heavily as I tried to catch my breath. Being afraid of getting crushed was a great adrenaline booster, as I could hear my pounding heartbeat in my ears. I stood up on my feet and tried to ignore how hard I was shaking as I looked at the destroyed sign. Oh God, Lion, are you okay? I'm so sorry, Lion. I would have never blasted that attack if I knew you were there. Oh, so you mean you'd use it if they weren't there, huh? Of course I would, you horrendous demon! Unlike your kind, I don't attack unless necessary. Well, that's just great. Knowing I was saved just put the two of them back at each other's throats. Bold words coming from the likes of you. How did your little brainwashing sessions go? Don't you dare refer to my faith in such a crass way. You're not even denying it. If anyone is brainwashed here, it's you, for thinking you're anything more than a nuisance that needs to be eradicated. Okay, clearly, you're the one in the wrong, Ravi. And you're the bigger idiot if you think our people will just submit to your horrendous light. The two kept on hurling insults at each other that I couldn't be bothered to keep track of. We weren't going to go anywhere if they kept on going like this. Guys, the two of them didn't even seem to hear me. You'd think you and your precious creators would take the hint after the celestial genesis. We took the hint just fine. It was you lot who decided to keep on hurting innocents in the shadows, thinking we wouldn't notice. You know damn well that only happened because stray monsters of light kept on possessing people and absorbing their souls. Don't act like it was our fault. We both know a soulless vessel is too far gone.
Maybe there wouldn't have been so many leftover light monsters if the starlight had done their job right.
Guys, okay, clearly, one of them is clearly in the wrong!
Don't you dare insult them like that! Besides, you have no leg to stand on when the sunbeam nearly ruined the entire thing. There's no proof of that, and you know it. Just like there's no proof the starlight did the ritual wrong. You just want to blame the Lunamoids because you can't comprehend the idea that your precious savior is flawed. As if your kind can't comprehend the same. Guys! I don't know why the moon thinks you're so special to keep around. All you've done is spread lies about us and convince everyone we're evil when you've committed atrocities just as badly as we have. If you didn't commit such crimes in the first place, we wouldn't need to warn everyone about you. Don't act like you haven't proven the world right in showing how horrific and brutal you are. Oh, really? I'll gladly show you how brutal I can be. Prove me right then, you horrendous creature. Enough, both of you. I just couldn't take their bickering anymore, and the way they were looking at each other like they were about to kill each other again, and as if I was going to have a repeat of that. Can you stop arguing about millennia-old bullshit none of us were here for just a second and listen to me? That seemed to finally make them stop. I'd feel bad with how loud I was yelling if I wasn't trying to hide how angry I was. And completely failing. I took a deep breath and let it out before looking back at the two Celestials. Okay, both of you, just let me talk for a minute. I know your whole thing is hating the other for all eternity because the sun and moon divorced or whatever, but look at what you did! I pointed to the now broken billboard in the distance, which seemed to be actively smoking from the light blast. You destroyed a billboard! Do you know how lucky I was to run away just before it crushed me? What if that was in town and someone couldn't get out of the way in time? Neither of them had an answer to that. With a sigh, I turned to Ravi. Ravi, you seem really nice, but you literally put a tracking device on me just to hurt someone who did nothing wrong to you. But I don't care if Orion is a nixling. What you did wasn't okay, and you know it. Especially what you said about him. You should never say such awful things about another person. I heard Orion let out a slight chuckle at my words, but my swift glare made him shut up. Don't think I'm not mad at you either, mister. You attacked Ravi without even considering the fact I was right next to him. If he hadn't pushed me out of the way, I would have died. I'm just lucky a stray blast from your fight didn't hit me sooner. I swore I could feel a vein pop when I saw Ravi smirking beside him. Are you serious right now? Huh? Just think. Both of you, for 2 damn seconds. Both of you almost killed me from that fight. You two don't even know each other, and you decided to attack each other out of nowhere? I don't care if you're Celestials. That is not okay. What if your fight brought you to the town? Who knows how many people would have gotten hurt? Were you two seriously so focused on killing each other that you forgot about the mortals you're apparently supposed to protect? I panted heavily when I finished. I didn't realize how riled up I was until I unloaded my words like that. But come on, these two deserved it. That definitely seemed to strike a chord with the two of them. I felt a pang go through my heart, but I felt like they really needed to hear it, and I would gladly throw hands with the both of them, like Celestials be damned! Oh, Stardust. I never... All three of us just stood there in silence. Orion looked away in shame, and despite his eyes always being closed, I could tell Ravi did the same. It felt like ages before one of us finally spoke up. Lion, I'm sorry. I should have never put you in danger like this. I am sorry as well. Putting the tracker on you was completely out of line. My superiors will be severely disappointed to hear of my behavior today, and for good reason. I looked over the expressions to try and find anything off, but found nothing. The two of them seemed to genuinely mean it, although it felt like they were more sorry for hurting me than hurting each other. Also, I have a strong feeling that among the three of us here, Ravi is not at the very slightest sorry for any of it. Like he's going to betray us immediately.
which I could settle with, honestly. I couldn't expect them to start hugging it out like they were just fighting. As long as they weren't blowing each other up, I was happy.
Do you, hate us now? It is completely understandable if you do.
The question surprised me, but it wasn't unwarranted. I was rightfully annoyed by their actions, but did that mean I hated them? I thought about my words carefully before deciding to speak.
I wouldn't say I hate you. I think I'm just really pissed off and disappointed. You caused so much damage and nearly got me killed, but considering everything, I think I should have seen this coming.
Both of them jerked up in surprise at my words.
What do you mean?
I mean, should have planned out this meeting a little better. Shouldn't have summoned Orion so close to town, and should have told Ravi that the coin actually... I should have told Ravi what the coin actually was. I still think you two were way out of line, don't get me wrong. But maybe things would have gone a bit better if I was a bit more careful. The two's faces melted into pensive sadness, any traces of anger at each other completely gone.
Oh, Stardust, you didn't do anything wrong. We were the ones who were fighting. He is correct. You have no reason to blame yourself when we objectively started it.
I knew on a technical scale, both of them were right, but still, couldn't help but facepalm. I couldn't help but facepalm in my head. Summoning Orion with Ravi in town, that was just stupid. Was I asking for something bad to happen? Even though they were the ones who started fighting, I put people in danger by putting them in the same place. I shook the thought from my head and let out another deep breath. I couldn't let this deter me, so I had to tell them something important.
Orion, Ravi, listen to me.
I took one of their hands in mine, and both of their cheeks flushed deeply.
Despite everything that happened, I truly mean it when I say I don't hate you. I don't like how you treat each other, but that doesn't mean I hate you. And honestly, I want to keep being your friend. Both of you.
More so on Orion, but like, I guess.
Orion's breath hitched, and Ravi's eyes widened in disbelief. You do? You want to be my friend?
Of course I do. Both of you are incredibly nice people when you're not actively trying to kill each other. Maybe if you could put a pause on that for a little bit, I could get to know you guys a little more. I could try and be friends with both of you. Can't I? The two of them only stared at me with wide eyes and flushed cheeks, as if they didn't expect this outcome.
Lion, I would love that, sunshine.
That was my turn for my face to flush, but Orion scoffed indignantly. Of course you'd think of that. How basic.
Basic doesn't mean bad, you know?
But not being creative is just being lazy, you know?
Guys, not now, okay?
The bickering ceased at that, but the two of them still gave each other an icy glare.
Oh boy, this was going to be a challenge, wasn't it? Like,
what would happen if I put them both in a room together? Can I get them to smooch? What will happen if I get them to smooch? I'm so curious.
I looked back up at the sky to see some stars starting to peek through the clouds. My eyes bulged open in shock.
Ah, crap. I need to get home and get to bed. I've got work tomorrow.
Work?
Yeah, I completely forgot about all of it in the chaos. Gods, I need to get home.
Let me walk you home. It's getting late. I want to make sure you're home safe.
As if I'm letting you be so close to Lion for such a long time. Corvin can watch them as they walk home.
Who?
The sound of a crow cawing sounded through the air, and I saw that a strange bird from earlier flying back down to roost on the billboard.
The crow. He owes me a few things. He can watch you get home.
Please, I am not entrusting Lion's safety to a haunted bird. He is not haunted, and you know it.
Guys, stop.
Gods, not 2 seconds could go by without these two arguing. It was really exhausting, and it's barely been a few minutes. How did women in rom-coms deal with this all the time?
How about this?
Why don't we do both? Ravi walks me home, and Corvin can fly around watching us. If either of you starts doing something I think is weird, then the other can be reasonably angry about it. As in, don't blow up signages to show how mad you are. Deal? The two of them mulled it over, glaring at the other the whole time, before giving me a nod in agreement. Fine, I can deal with that. As can I. I'll just have to hope that your bird won't go pecking at me for no reason. I wouldn't stop him if he did. And I'll zap him out of the sky if he so as much lays a feather on me. Very funny, you two. Can we go now? They gave each other one more stink eye before breaking the gaze. Sure, I have to go home and clean up these wounds anyway. Son above, I do too. I'm absolutely filthy. I'd barely noticed with how much these two had been fighting, but properly looking at the two of them made me realize how much they had hurt each other in the fight. Looking down, I could see gold and purple blood pooling on the patchy dirt floor. Will you two be okay? That is a lot of blood. Both of their faces turned into kind smiles at my concern, finally ignoring how much they hated each other. Yeah, don't worry about it, Stardust. I got worse injuries when hunting for food. You have no need to worry about me, Sunshine. Healing is a specialty of etherlings. I shall be okay. Also, I can't help but draw comparisons to, like, Shadow Milk Cookie and Pure Vanilla Cookie. Like, I'm not the only one, right? I'm not going insane, right? Well, if you guys say so. Let's get going, shall we? Yes, let's. Let Carvin know if Bright Eyes over there does anything weird, Stardust. I'll be there in a snap to help you. Ravi only rolled his eyes, which the crow responded by cawing at him. I could only giggle. I'll see you later, Lion. Orion gave me one final look of sincerity before disappearing into the shadows. Ravi lets out an audible sigh of relief when he left, but instantly changed his expression upon seeing my face. Sorry. I just shrugged my shoulders and yawned. I was getting too tired to complain. Let's go. Farewell. We finally headed back to the town, Corvin flying above us, keeping a close eye on Ravi. People in the street gasped and shocked when seeing the bleeding demigod, but a few reassurances were enough to tell people to leave us alone. You look like shit. Eventually, we arrived on the street with my house, and I looked up at my attic window with a happy sigh before looking back at Ravi. Well, this is my stop. I suppose it is. You have a lovely home. Thank you, but it's not mine. A friend is just doing me a favor. I see. I'm glad to have helped you get home safely. Despite his formal speak, I could tell he was upset. While we were walking here, his eye twitched anytime Corvin screeched at him, which was a lot. Was he really that worried that Orion would do something wrong? I hesitated for a few moments before I gently took his hand and squeezed it lightly. That seemed to bring him out of it. Ravi, look, I'm fine. You have nothing to worry about. I know you might be scared that Orion is going to do something, but trust me, he won't. He's nice and completely harmless. Besides, if he wanted to hurt me, I feel like he would have done it way earlier. What? Why? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the almost dying on the mountain debacle. That's a story for another time, but my point is this. Try and go to bed knowing that I'll be alright, okay? I just want to be your friend and Orion's friend. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Ravi was hesitant, but eventually he nodded slowly. I could feel his hand squeezing mine right back, his bandages soft against my skin. If you are sure, then I'll be sure as well. Thank you, Sunshine. I gave him a wide smile to match his own. Of course, Ravi. I hope to see you later. Me too. I gently pulled my hand out of his grasp before I finally headed into the house. I rubbed at my face and let out a huge groan in exasperation. Honestly, today was absolutely exhausting in so many ways. How would I even start unpacking it all? Meeting an etherling, summoning a nixling, almost getting killed by them, or somehow convincing the two of them not to rip each other apart and try to be civil so I could be their friend. Saying all of that in my head made me realize how insane it was. Two mystical beings of light and shadow that hated each other were stopping their fight just to make me happy. All because I said I wanted to. Gods, what have I gotten myself into? And that's the end of day 2 demo.
Okay. Anyway, that was Moondrop and Sunshine Day 2. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to play this for yourselves, link to the game will be in the description below. We'll definitely be back once Day 3 drops. Like, this has been pretty insane so far. Like, the fight scenes were like, I mean, they're not like your anime fight scenes, but they were really freaking cool. And I love the scene where Orion decided to throw hands. Like, oh, bro was aura farming for real. But anyway, like, thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry for being cringe. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion signing off. Ciao.